The nursing home costs $11,400 per month. That is not a typo. That is the average cost of a private nursing home room in the United States in 2026, $136,800 per year. For a couple who built their entire retirement around a paid-off house and a modest savings account, that number does not just threaten their retirement. It erases it, a $290,000 home, gone in 2 years and 1 month. And here is what almost no one tells you until it is too late. When your savings run out, when the accounts are empty, when the house is the only thing left, Medicaid steps in. But Medicaid does not step in quietly. Medicaid steps in, reviews every financial move you made for the last 5 years. And if it finds assets you transferred, accounts you moved, gifts you gave your children, it says, you are not eligible yet. Pay for the nursing home yourself first. For months, sometimes years. And when you eventually die, Medicaid sends a bill to your estate. For every dollar it paid for your nursing home care, collected from the one asset you assumed was protected, your home. This process has a name, Medicaid Estate Recovery, and it is mandatory in every single state for every Medicaid recipient who received nursing home care. Your family discovers it after the funeral. When the letter arrives, Raymond and Helen never got that letter. Not because they were lucky, because Raymond knew, 3 years before Helen needed the nursing home, that this moment was coming. And he moved 3 specific assets before Medicaid's 5-year clock could reach them. I'm going to show you exactly what Raymond did and exactly what you need to do. Because the clock on your 5-year window is running right now, whether you know it or not. Before I show you the 3 assets, you need to understand exactly how this system operates. Because most families do not understand it until the letter arrives. Step 1, the nursing home. Your spouse needs nursing home care. The cost is $11,400 per month. Your savings last 14 months. The house is next. Step 2, the Medicaid application. When assets are nearly gone, you apply for Medicaid to cover the nursing home costs. Medicaid sets an asset limit for the nursing home resident of $2,000. $2,000. That is what your spouse is allowed to own to qualify for Medicaid coverage. Step 3, the 5-year lookback. The Medicaid agency considers ways or looks back over the previous 5 years to see if any assets were sold, given away, or transferred for less than their true value. The lookback period begins on the day that you apply for Medicaid. Every bank transfer, every gift to a child, every account you moved, 5 years of financial history, reviewed by a government agency whose job is to find assets that should have paid for the nursing home before Medicaid did. Step 4, the penalty period. The penalty for violating the Medicaid lookback is a period of time that one is made ineligible for Medicaid. This period of ineligibility is determined based on the dollar amount of transferred assets divided by either the average monthly private patient rate or daily private patient rate of nursing home care in the state. Let me show you what this means with real numbers. Helen is in a nursing home. The family gave their daughter $50,000 2 years ago for a house down payment. That $50,000 gift falls inside the 5-year look-back window. Nursing home cost in Ohio, $8,500 per month. Penalty period, $50,000, $8,500, 5.88 months. For 5 months and 26 days, Medicaid will not pay a single dollar of Helen's nursing home costs. That bill still comes. At $8,500 per month, the family must pay it out of pocket or find the $50,000 gift and return it before coverage begins. And this is just the penalty period. After Medicaid does begin paying, the second machine starts running. Medicaid Estate Recovery. Following the death of a Medicaid recipient 55 years old or older, Medicaid Estate Recovery attempts reimbursement of long-term care costs for which the state paid. Often, the only asset of any significant value that remains at the time of a Medicaid recipient's death is their home, and it is often through the home that the Medicaid agency is reimbursed. Raymond's neighbor, a man named Bill, watched this happen to his family after his wife Dorothy passed. Medicaid had paid $186,000 for Dorothy's nursing home care over 22 months. 6 weeks after Dorothy's funeral, a letter arrived. The state was placing a lien on Bill and Dorothy's house, valued at $247,000, for $186,000. Bill is 74 years old. He is still living in that house. The lien does not force a sale while a surviving spouse lives there. But when Bill dies, or when Bill moves out, the house must be sold, and Medicaid collects first. The children inherit what is left, if anything is left. That is the machine. Now let me show you how Raymond stopped it. Raymond is 71 years old. Helen is 68. They live in a 3-bedroom house in Dayton, Ohio. Paid off in 2019, worth $290,000. Raymond has a pension, $1,800 per month. Helen has Social Security, $1,400 per month. They have a joint savings account, $74,000, and a small investment account, $31,000. 3 years ago, Raymond's doctor told him that Helen's memory was showing early signs of decline. Nothing definitive, but enough for Raymond to ask a question most spouses never ask. What happens to everything we built if Helen eventually needs a nursing home? He spent a Saturday afternoon with an elder law attorney. What he learned that afternoon changed everything. The attorney explained, the moment Helen applies for Medicaid, the government looks back 5 years. Every transfer, every gift, every account move. Raymond had 3 years. 3 years to move 3 assets outside the 5-year look-back window, legally, permanently, before the clock expired. He did not waste a single month. The house was Raymond and Helen's largest asset, $290,000, and it was completely unprotected. Raymond could not simply give it to the children. That would trigger the look-back penalty. He had 3 legal options. Option 1, the Irrevocable Medicaid Asset Protection Trust, MAPT. An irrevocable trust means the terms cannot be changed or cancelled. The trust maker is no longer considered the owner of the assets. The trust maker's children can be named as beneficiaries, protecting the home as inheritance. Raymond transfers the house into an Irrevocable Medicaid Asset Protection Trust. The trust owns the house, not Raymond. Medicaid cannot count it as Raymond's asset. Raymond and Helen can still live in it. They can still sell it and move with trustee approval. The critical rule: this strategy generally needs to be implemented 60 months, 5 years, prior to applying for long-term care Medicaid. Raymond had 3 years remaining on his look-back window. He transferred the house into the MAPT 3 years before Helen applied for Medicaid, which means the transfer falls outside the 5-year look-back window. Medicaid cannot count it, cannot recover it, cannot place a lien on it. The house, $290,000, protected from Medicaid Estate Recovery, forever. Option 2, the life estate. If a full irrevocable trust feels complex, a life estate is a simpler alternative. Raymond transfers the house title to the children, but retains a life estate, meaning he and Helen have the legal right to live there for the rest of their lives. The children own the remainder interest. A life estate established more than 5 years before the Medicaid application lets the owner transfer property into joint ownership. Same 5-year rule applies, same protection result. Option 3, the caregiver child exemption. This one surprises almost everyone. The child caregiver exemption allows a Medicaid applicant to transfer their home to an adult child who has lived in the home for at least 2 years prior to the Medicaid application date and has supplied care that allowed their parent to live at home rather than moving to a nursing home. If Raymond and Helen's daughter Sarah had moved in with them and provided primary care for 2 years, Raymond could transfer the house to Sarah with no look-back penalty at all. 0 waiting period. 0 Medicaid violation. The caregiver child exemption is one of the most underused protections in elder law. Raymond used option 1, the MAPT trust, because no child lived with them. The $290,000 house, protected. Raymond and Helen had $74,000 in a joint savings account. Under Medicaid rules, as the community spouse, the spouse remaining at home, you are typically allowed to retain up to half of the couple's assets. This provision, known as the Community Spouse Resource Allowance, allows you to keep up to $162,660 from shared assets in 2026. Raymond's $74,000 was below the CSRA limit. He could keep all of it without any Medicaid violation as the community spouse. But here is the problem nobody warned Raymond about. The CSRA only protects Raymond while Helen is in the nursing home. When Helen dies, Raymond is no longer a community spouse. He becomes a single individual. And Medicaid Estate Recovery will attempt to recover what it paid for Helen's care from Raymond's estate after Raymond dies, which means the $74,000, now part of Raymond's estate, could be targeted after Raymond's death. Raymond's fix: he converted $40,000 of the savings account into a Medicaid-compliant annuity. Purchasing a Medicaid-compliant annuity can reduce an applicant's assets without violating the look-back period, and it can provide the senior with a needed income stream. The $40,000 converts to a guaranteed monthly payment to Raymond for a defined period. It is no longer a countable asset for Medicaid purposes. It generates income Raymond can use for living expenses, while Helen's Medicaid covers the nursing home. Remaining $34,000, Raymond kept under the CSRA limit, fully protected while Helen is alive. Raymond and Helen had $31,000 in a small investment account, mostly index funds, opened in 2014. This one was the simplest fix, and the one that surprises people most. Raymond's elder law attorney pointed out something most financial advisors never mention: exempt assets. Medicaid does not count certain assets when calculating eligibility. An applicant's home furnishings and appliances, personal items, vehicle, and generally their home are exempt from Medicaid's asset calculation. Raymond used the $31,000 from the investment account to do three things. 1. Prepaid Helen's funeral, $9,200. A prepaid irrevocable funeral plan is an exempt asset under Medicaid rules. That $9,200 is now completely invisible to Medicaid. 2. Upgraded the family vehicle, $12,400. One vehicle is exempt from Medicaid asset calculation. An older car worth $3,000 upgraded to a newer car worth $15,400. The value increased, but it remains a single exempt asset. 3. Home repairs and modifications, $9,400. The home, already in the MAPT trust, needed a wheelchair ramp, bathroom modifications, and roof repairs. Spending on exempt assets, like the home, is a legitimate Medicaid spend-down strategy. Total investment account, $31,000. Converted entirely to exempt assets. Medicaid countable value, 0. I need to spend a moment on the most important concept in this video, because the three assets I just showed you, the house, the savings, the investment account, none of them work if the timing is wrong. If one is applying for nursing home Medicaid, the state's Medicaid governing agency will scrutinize asset transfers for the previous 60 months. The lookback rule does not apply to the regular Medicaid program. 60 months, 5 years. Every transfer, every gift, every trust, every account restructure must happen more than 5 years before the Medicaid application date. Here is what happens if the timing is wrong. Raymond's neighbor Bill, the one whose wife Dorothy went into the nursing home, Bill had given his son $80,000 2 years before Dorothy's Medicaid application. It was for his son's business, a legitimate transfer. Between a father and son, 2 years inside the lookback window. Ohio's average nursing home cost $8,500 per month. Penalty period $80,000, $8,500 through 9.4 months. For 9 months and 12 days, Medicaid would not pay a single dollar of Dorothy's nursing home care. Bill had to pay $79,900 out of pocket before Medicaid coverage began. The $80,000 gift cost Bill $79,900 in nursing home payments, nearly dollar for dollar. This is why timing is everything. The IRS gift tax rule and Medicaid lookback are completely separate. The IRS allows an annual estate and gift tax exemption. In 2026, an individual can gift up to $19,000 per recipient without reporting it to the IRS. This federal gift tax exemption does not extend to Medicaid's rules. Gifting under this exemption violates the Medicaid lookback rule. The same gift, the same money, legal under IRS rules. A violation under Medicaid rules. Two separate systems. Two completely different outcomes. This is the trap that catches families who followed the $19,000 gift rule in our previous video without knowing about Medicaid's separate lookback. Here is the part that most financial YouTube channels skip entirely. Medicaid rules are not federal uniform rules. Every state sets its own asset limits, its own income limits, its own penalty divisors, its own exceptions. Let me show you how dramatically this changes the math. Ohio, where Raymond and Helen live. CSRA, Community Spouse Protection, $137,400 asset limit for nursing home spouse, $2,000 average nursing home cost, penalty divisor, $8,500 month lookback period, 60 months, 5 years, estate recovery mandatory. Florida, Sunbelt Retirement State, CSRA, $162,660 maximum federal level, asset limit, $2,000 penalty divisor, $9,400 month, higher cost. Lookback, 60 months estate recovery, mandatory. California, major exception. California's Medicaid program currently requires a 30-month lookback, so just 2.5 years instead of 5. And by July of 2026, they will phase out the lookback period altogether. California residents in 2026 have a dramatically smaller lookback window, and soon, no lookback at all. New York. New York is an exception, as the state currently has no lookback period for long-term home and community-based services. For in-home care in New York, the lookback may not apply at all. The point of showing you these differences is critical. The strategies in this video are frameworks. Your state's specific rules determine which ones apply to you and exactly how to execute them. An elder law attorney in your state, specifically one who focuses on Medicaid planning, is the single most important professional investment a couple in their 60s can make. The average elder law consultation costs $300 to $500. The average Medicaid estate recovery claim against a house is $186,000. I want to be direct about what Medicaid's spousal protection rules actually do, because most families misunderstand this. As the community spouse, the spouse remaining at home, you are typically allowed to retain up to $162,660 from shared assets in 2026. The community spouse, the one still living at home, can keep the family home exempt while they live there. One vehicle, exempt personal belongings, exempt up to $162,660 in combined assets, CSRA, a minimum monthly income of $2,643.75. While your spouse is alive in the nursing home, Medicaid protects you from impoverishment. This is genuine protection. The government does not leave you with nothing. The community spouse protections end when the nursing home spouse dies. At that point, Medicaid Estate Recovery begins. Medicaid Estate Recovery is mandatory in all states following the death of persons of any age who received Medicaid-funded nursing home care. The surviving spouse can continue living in the house. The lien does not force an immediate sale. But when the surviving spouse dies, or moves out, or sells the house, Medicaid collects first, before the children, before any other heir. The house your spouse spent 30 years paying off becomes a Medicaid reimbursement vehicle. However, if the deceased has a surviving spouse, a child under 21 years old, or a disabled or blind child of any age, Medicaid cannot attempt estate recovery to recover long-term care costs, while those conditions are met. This is the temporary protection. While Raymond lives, the house is safe. When Raymond dies, the clock starts. This is why the MAPT trust, completed more than 5 years before Medicaid application, is the only strategy that permanently removes the house from Medicaid's reach. Let me show you 2 versions of Raymond and Helen's story. Raymond and Helen, no planning. Helen enters nursing home, January 2024, monthly cost, $8,500 savings depleted in 8.7 months house next, Medicaid application filed. 5-year look-back review, $50,000 gift to daughter. 2 years ago, violation $40,000 moved to savings account. 3 years ago, reviewed. Penalty period from $50,000 violation, $50,000, $8,500, 5.88 months. Out-of-pocket nursing home costs during penalty, $49,980. Medicaid begins, covers remaining care. Helen passes after 26 months total care. Medicaid Estate Recovery claim, $153,000, placed as lien on house. Raymond's house value, $290,000 Medicaid lien, $153,000 children's inheritance from house, $137,000. Raymond's 3 moves, completed 3 years before application. House transferred to MAPT trust, 3 years before application. Outside 5-year look-back window, Medicaid cannot count or recover it. Savings restructured via Medicaid-compliant annuity, $40,000 converted to income stream, not accountable asset. Investment account converted to exempt assets, $9,200 prepaid funeral, $12,400 vehicle upgrade, $9,400 home improvements, Medicaid countable value, $0. Helen enters nursing home. Same date Medicaid application, same date 5-year look-back review. All transfers outside look-back window, no violations, all remaining assets, below CSRA limit. Medicaid coverage begins. Month 1, no penalty period. No out-of-pocket nursing home payments. Helen passes, same timeline. Medicaid Estate Recovery claim, $0. House is in MAPT trust, not part of Raymond's estate. Children's inheritance from house, $290,000. No planning. Out-of-pocket penalty payments, $49,980 Medicaid lien on house. $153,000 children's inheritance, $137,000. Raymond's 3 moves. Out-of-pocket penalty payments, $0 Medicaid lien on house, $0 children's inheritance, $290,000. $153,000 difference, same house, same nursing home, same Medicaid system. 3 moves. Made before the 5-year clock expired. The 5-year look-back window is not a deadline you can see coming. It is invisible. You do not know the day your spouse will need a nursing home. You do not know if it is 2 years from now, or 8 years, or never. What you know is this. If you transfer assets today, and your spouse needs Medicaid in 4 years, those transfers fall inside the look-back window. If you transfer assets today, and your spouse needs Medicaid in 6 years, those transfers fall outside the window. The elder law attorney who sat with Raymond said something Raymond has never forgotten. The families who protect everything are the ones who came to see me when they still thought they had time. The families who lose everything are the ones who came to see me when they knew they were out of time. Raymond came when he had time. 3 years later, when Helen needed the nursing home, every move was outside the look-back window. Every asset was protected. The house his wife grew up loving, the one they paid off in 2019, the one their grandchildren call Grandma and Grandpa's house, will pass to their children exactly as Raymond and Helen intended. Not to Medicaid. 3 things before you close this video. 1. Save this video tonight. This is your Medicaid planning reference guide. When the conversation with a parent becomes urgent, when the doctor visit changes things, when the question of long-term care stops being hypothetical, this video is where you start. Save it. Share it with your siblings. Tonight. 2. Go to the comments right now and tell me 2 things. What state do you live in, and approximately how much equity is in your home? I will tell you which of the 3 strategies applies most directly to your situation and what your state's specific look-back rules are. I read every comment. This is not a form response. This is a real conversation. 3. Think of one couple you know, in their 60s, with a paid-off home who has never heard the words Medicaid Estate Recovery, or 5-year look-back, or Community Spouse Resource Allowance. Send them this video tonight. Not because you want to frighten them, because Raymond had 3 years, and 3 years was enough. I will see you in the next video.